Welcome to this video. Firstly, Year 8, I hope you're well, and I hope your families are as well. Very strange times. I'm sure we'll be back in some form of normality in due course. Meanwhile, well done to the majority of you that have been trying out the coding tasks that we'd normally be doing in class using the tools that you can access from the web. It's not an easy thing, but part of the purpose of this video is to make sure you know how to use .NET Fiddle and how to run your code and how to keep your programs for later changes. Now you can get to .NET Fiddle using the Show My Homework links, of course, but you can also do a quick Google search like this, and that generates a link directly to that site. When you reach the site, you may see code you've already written, but you can always begin a new piece of code using the New button at the top. It is important to make sure that you select VB.NET rather than C#, which is the language our A-level students use, and double check that that says that. It should remember the settings from session to session on the same computer, but you may find you have to go in and adjust that. You can create this new version of code just by pressing the New button, and that resets everything back to this original set of code. Now, the default Hello World program has lots of parts around the edge that you must not change. In fact, the only actual line of code in this program is this middle one with the console write line. Everything around the edge, if you remove it, causes an error. For example, in this case, there's no end to this module starting line here. So it's important to make sure you only change this line in the middle. The line at the very top, import system, if you remove that, stops the computer knowing what the console is. So again, important to make sure you don't fiddle around with any of this code. If you find that you accidentally delete any of these existing lines, simply select and copy your code from the middle, okay, remove that, then press the New button, which will hopefully allow you to get back to the original program, and then replace the middle sections with your pasted code. So I've now switched over to the solution to the Ghana question quiz program, which was provided for you to copy. And this is almost precisely the original program. I just want to show the process of running the program first of all. So up here, I press the Run button. It will actually start running the program and just typing results using the keyboard down here in the console. So it asks me for the capital of Ghana. If I put in Rome as an incorrect answer, it asks me for the capital of Ghana again. If I put in another incorrect answer, and then a third incorrect answer, then it will tell me I've run out of attempts. So that's an example of a test, and obviously if I put the answer incorrectly, hopefully it would instantly jump out of this loop that's going through and continuing until we have 3 attempts, or the answer is correct. Notice I've adjusted this to put this to lower extra function at the end of guess, and this turns guess into a lowercase version so I can check to see if it matches up with this, which means that the user can type in a capital letter there or a lowercase and it'll still match up with the correct answer. I also haven't included the console read line at the very end, because one of the big advantages of .NET Fiddle is that it doesn't suddenly disappear when the program finishes. Now, other than that, .NET Fiddle pretty much works the same as using Visual Studio, obviously with the advantage that we're just working here on the web. You can save through to your Google Drive and various other ways of storing, but one of the quickest and easiest ways of keeping a copy of your code is to press the Share button. Pressing the Share button generates a .NET Fiddle web link with a little extension on it like this, and if you record that, okay, just copy it and paste it into OneNote or email it to yourself, then you can get back to your code simply by putting that into the browser or just by clicking on that link. If you have trouble with your code and you want me to have a look at it, the best thing to do is to generate a share link and then put that into a message in Show My Homework, or paste that into your OneNote page, because I can then access your code directly using this link. What we're going to do now is to explore how to change this code into the challenge task code, which requires a menu system to be written. Now, in the previous video, we converted the flowchart by removing certain items and adjusting it to what we needed for the menu system from the original flowchart. I'm going to do the same with this particular piece of code here. But just as a reminder, let's have a look and see what the flowchart actually had in it. Now, you'll notice that we started off with the flowchart with outputting the options and then inputting the choice. There was no element of attempts being counted. We literally just had to read in a choice and then decide whether the choice was within the range we wanted, and that forms the loop. We want to loop back if the choice needs to be asked again. So if the choice is between 1 and 3, we're happy, we can leave. Once we've left, we can then produce the relevant outputs depending on which of the options they've chosen. And in a sense, that's the same as we've got here. We've got the guess being defined. When we go into the loop, we ask what the guess is going to be, and then we check to see whether the guess is correct. And when we leave, we can then produce a response. So we're going to use this code as a kind of formation of the new code we want. So similar to before, the first thing I can do is to get rid of any reference to attempts, because we just don't need that at all. So I'm going to get rid of attempt here, I'm going to get rid of this line, which also has attempt, and also get rid of the reference to attempt in the loop condition at the bottom. So we've kind of stripped away some of the detail that we didn't need. I'm also going to change some of the words because it no longer makes sense to talk about a guess. This is a choice. So I'm going to change, just like I did in the flowchart, I'm going to change guess to choice. Okay, so choice, and therefore I need to do the same in the other options down here. So choice is going to be input, and I want to do a choice here. Now I no longer need to worry about lowercase and uppercase because choice is essentially a number. Okay, although it's being recorded as a string, VB is a flexible language, and it does allow us to do things like equals 1. Okay, and that will work. So we can do that. It will also allow us to do things like less than and greater than. We'll come into that in a few moments. The final thing is I'm going to also change this to choice as well, just to make sure that I don't have any references to guess now in my program, and I can fiddle around with it after that. Now the first thing I want to do is to output the options available. So a little bit of speeding up is about to happen, but I'm just going to pop here to the top of the program, and I'm going to paste in console writeline and then create the choices as they're supposed to be defined in the program. Okay, so there's my options originally there. I'm just going to adjust my comments now to make sure that the comment reflects what we're going to actually be doing in this program. So loop to ask for the choice and continue until a correct choice is made. Okay, so let's just adjust that a little bit. Now I'm going to adjust this console write line into a console write, which simply means it doesn't go on to the next line at the end. And I'm going to say enter choice and put a little arrow after there at the end. So the cursor will sit after that little greater than symbol, and it will look like a proper entry there. Okay, so that's the code adjusted. So now instead of asking for a guess to a capital city question, it's now asking for us to type in the choice that we want. Now loop until choice equals 1 might work, and one thing you could do, of course, is to say loop until choice equals 1 or choice equals 2 or choice equals 3. And I've seen some solutions that look a bit like that. And that would work. Okay, we want 1, 2 or 3, we don't want anything in between, and that would work quite happily. The other option is to give the computer slightly less to do by just asking for, is it greater than or equal to 1 or less than or equal to 3, which means I don't need to check 2 at all because they're basically in between. And of course I need and with those two. So is the choice greater than or equal to 1 and is the choice less than or equal to 3? And that essentially means between 1 and 3. Okay, it would also work to do something like greater than 0 and less than 4. Okay, that doesn't include 0 and 4, but it would also work. Okay, but let's stick to the original version there because I think that's clearer. That will allow us to keep looping around and asking for a choice if the user doesn't type in a number between 1 and 3. And once we're outside the loop, we want to produce the correct message output. That's all correct. And so I simply just want to check the different possible choices and put some sort of message in to say, correspond to this. So here we go into the game. Okay, something like that. We also have the facility to do another test within the same if statement. So else if choice equals 2. So if choice is not equal to 1, else we now want it to do another check to see whether it's equal to 2. If it's equal to 2, then we want to do another console.writeLine, and here are the instructions. Finally, the only other possibility, and this matches on my flowchart, you'll notice I didn't have another choice. We just want to say goodbye, okay? And so what we've got here is a program that essentially matches perfectly with our flowchart. Now, some people have actually put this if statement here inside the loop. So in other words, as soon as they type in a correct choice, it will do this, and it will then just exit. And that's absolutely perfect. Okay, so there's no problem taking that code and doing that inside the loop like this. But you'll notice this is going to immediately, as soon as the choice is entered, if it's one of the 3 options, it's going to allow us to output the response, and then it will leave the loop. Now, the important thing with the programming that we're doing is to have a go. Okay, one of the things I want to emphasize through this video is that I'm going to be providing you with solutions once I've had a look. Now, obviously, as we go into the challenge assignment, I'll be providing you with some guidance on how to do the maths and how to plan it and so on and so forth. And I want you to have a go at what you're being asked to do. Please post your best attempt. If it looks like you've had a go, then the task will be credited as being complete. The other thing to bear in mind is that particularly at the moment, because obviously we're all in different situations, I won't be checking your work immediately it's set. Okay, the task is set for when our lesson normally is, but I'll be checking back half a week, maybe a week later. So there is an ample opportunity for you to have a go, get it a bit wrong, have another little go, and then just post your attempt, even if it doesn't work. Remember, this share option at the top allows you to provide me with direct access to your code. So if you have a technical problem, if for example you've maybe spelt a keyword wrong and you're getting an error that you're not really sure what the underlining means, then simply share your code directly with me, and then I'm able to load your code up and actually play around with it myself rather than having to type it in all by myself. Okay, so that's a useful thing to do. If you didn't manage to get this program working, try following the steps in this video in .NET Fiddle. Get accomplished with it. Have a little bit of a go. That's the purpose of the practice challenge. It's to do with practice, and that gives you the confidence to adapt an existing program like this one into a new program that's required for what you need to do. So, good luck. Keep in touch, okay? And I will try and keep up to date with messages on Show My Homework. Remember, it's not necessary to send me a message to say you've done it. Okay, I can check that myself. But if you do have a technical issue, then please ask. All right, that's really important.